For Unit 3, Day 6 notes, we're talking about slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines on a coordinate plane. So for slopes of parallel lines, I gave you some 3 bulleted points here. The big idea is that when you have 2 different slopes, you're comparing them to see if they are the same. If they are the same slope, that means they are parallel lines. Dang it. Okay, and what we need to do for example 1 is we would need to go through and find the slope of this line here, and then find the slope of this line here, and then compare the 2 slopes. So for this one, this would be our x1 and our y1, our x2 and our y2, and we are going to plug it into this slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So at the very top, we're going to jot that down just because we really don't have space there to write it. Okay. So using the formula, let's plug in. So we've got -4 minus 4. And then we have a -1 minus a -3. So we should know that that should be a plus now. And this becomes -8, and -1 plus 3 is 2, so we have a -4. So our first slope for line A is, we would say slope, and then do like a subscript, so letter A for line A is -4. Okay, and then for line B, we would do the same thing. We would go ahead and mark x1, y1, x2, y2, and plug into the slope formula there at the top. So -4 minus 5, 2 minus a -1, and this gives us -9 over 3, which is -3. So we would say the slope of B, line B, equals -3. Now, if I can compare my 2 slopes, they are obviously not the same number. So are the lines parallel? No. They are not parallel. They do not have the same slope. So we would do the same thing for line B, or line C and D for part B. So I'm going to go ahead and just work this out. You can pause, work it out yourself, then check, or just follow along. So 5 minus 1 and 3 minus 1 is 4 over 2. So the line, or the slope of line C is 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2. Label. Solve. So 4 minus a -6 and 3 minus a -2. So I'm going to add, and that equals 2 as well. So the slope of line D is 2. So are the lines parallel? Yes, they are parallel because they have the same slope. Okay, you can also see a problem like example 2. It says writing equations of parallel lines. What is the equation of the line that is parallel to this line, y equals -3x minus 5, and it also contains the point -1, 8. So first of all, we know that this new line has to have the same slope as this, so that would be -3. So the information we need is our slope, and we also were given that we have a point that the line goes through. And so we're going to call this x1, y1. We know our slope is m, and because we are given a point and a slope, we need to use point-slope form. So this is point-slope form if you need it again. Okay, and then we're going to just plug into these numbers or these letters, I guess, only. So y minus, y1 is 8, m is negative 3, x minus x1 is negative 1. So this becomes a plus. So the directions say write an equation. This is your equation if you want to leave it in point-slope form. If the directions said write an equation in slope-intercept form, then we would need to go ahead and distribute our negative 3, add our 8 over to get y by itself, and we would get this, y equals negative 3x plus 5, if we wanted slope-intercept form. So we could see that if we are comparing this equation and this equation, these would be parallel on a graph because the slopes are the same and we have different y-intercepts.